The man in the old 1940s navy blue uniform was standing at the end of the hotel hallway, facing me. His hat was tilted low, covering half his face, but I could still see his pale jaw and the strange, gray skin stretching over his cheeks. He didn't move like a normal person. He didn't blink. And worst of all, even though the hallway was freezing cold, his breath didn't show in the air at all. Mine came out in white clouds. His came out in nothing. When I stepped back, the lights above us flickered once, twice, then shut off completely. In the darkness, I heard his footsteps. Slow, heavy, coming closer. I grabbed my phone, the screen lighting up my shaking hands. And that's when I saw it, his reflection in my phone's glass. He was right behind me. I turned fast, heart slamming so hard I felt dizzy. The man lifted his head slowly, and his eyes, dark, sunken, hollow, looked right into mine. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Then he raised his hand, pointing at me like he was choosing me, claiming me, or warning me. The lights snapped back on, and he was gone. Only a single muddy boot print remained on the carpet, pointing straight toward my door. Before I could breathe, before I could scream for help, something behind the closed-service elevator door began to bang from the inside, like someone trapped, or someone trying to get out. And that's where everything truly began. My name is Alex Carter, and I had only been working at the Harborline Grand Hotel for 2 weeks when all this happened. The hotel wasn't new. It was old and huge, built in the 1930s, with long red carpets and chandeliers that swayed even when there was no wind. Guests said it was historic. Staff said it was quirky. But the older housekeeping ladies had another word for it. Haunted. I didn't take it seriously then. I was 24, broke, and just needed a job. The hotel had offered me a cheap employee room on the 6th floor, and I took it without thinking. On my first day, Mr. Harold, the night manager, gave me a tour. Most of the guests stay on floors 2 through 5, he said. 6th floor used to be storage until we opened it for staff, and the 7th floor is closed to the public. Don't go up there. Ever. Why? I asked. He gave me a tired look. You won't want the answer. I laughed, thinking he was joking, but he didn't laugh back. Later I learned the story, that during World War II, part of the hotel was used as temporary lodging for soldiers before they shipped out. One soldier never returned. People said he still walked the halls at night, looking for his room, or looking for someone who had taken it. I didn't believe a word of it. Not yet. The first strange thing happened on the 4th night. I was cleaning up after a late room service call when I heard footsteps at the far end of the hallway. Hard, old-fashioned boots hitting the ground. The sound echoed, hollow and slow. At first, I thought it was another staff member, but when I turned around, the hallway was empty. Still, the footsteps kept coming. I froze. The steps sounded heavier the closer they got, but no one was there. A wave of cold air blew past me, strong enough to make my eyes water. When I looked down, I saw something that made my stomach twist. A single wet footprint. Then another. Then another. Marching right toward me. I backed up fast, nearly dropping the plates I was carrying. When I turned the corner to escape, the footsteps suddenly stopped. Just like that. Silent. I told myself the carpet was old, maybe soaked from cleaning. I told myself a guest had been walking barefoot. I told myself anything that sounded normal. But the truth was, the air had felt wrong. Heavy. Like something was watching me. The second strange thing happened during my night shift the next weekend. I was assigned to help check CCTV cameras for a missing keys incident. Boring stuff. But as I scanned through the footage, something on camera 6 made me stop. At first the hallway was empty. Then, one frame later, a man was suddenly there. Not walking into the frame. Not stepping out of a door. Just appearing. He stood perfectly still. His navy blue uniform looked dusty and faded. His hat was tilted low, and his boots shined like wet metal. The camera quality was grainy, but his outline was clear enough. I leaned in closer, squinting. And right then, he turned his head toward the camera. Not fast. Just a slow, steady turn, like he knew he was being watched. I flinched so hard that my chair rolled backward. When I clicked ahead to the next frame, he vanished. Completely gone. I told Mr. Harold, but he brushed it off. Old cameras glitch all the time, he said. But I knew what I saw, and it wasn't a glitch. That night, I barely slept. But the worst moment happened the night I walked back to my 6th floor room. The hallway lights were dim, flickering like they were tired. I heard a humming noise coming from the end of the hall, like someone softly singing to themselves. The tune sounded old, like something from a black and white movie. I followed it slowly, my heart thumping in my ears. As I got closer, the singing stopped. Then the service elevator door rattled weakly. I froze, staring at it. The elevator was out of use, broken for months, according to Mr. Harold. But something was inside it. I took a small step back. That's when someone hit the door from the inside. Hard. I jumped so badly my phone flew out of my hand and clattered across the carpet. When I bent to grab it, the elevator door screeched open a few inches, like something inside was forcing it apart. The air turned freezing. My breath puffed out in white clouds. Then, from that narrow opening, a hand slid through. A gray, thin hand in an old navy blue sleeve. It grasped the edge of the door and pulled. The whole elevator shook, the door creeping open wider, metal groaning like it was being bent by something impossible. Slowly, the figure inside began to lean forward. First the hat, then the shadowed eyes, then the pale jaw. It was him, the ghostly man from the camera, the ghostly man from the hallway, the ghostly man who died in the 1940s. He stared at me with dark, hollow eyes. Then he whispered in a dry, sandpaper voice, "You're in my room." And the elevator door suddenly flew all the way open, slamming into the wall with a thunderous bang. The man stepped out fully, boots hitting the carpet, body flickering like a bad TV signal. He lifted one hand and pointed straight at me. I tried to run, but the lights blinked out all at once. The hallway dropped into darkness. My phone screen lit only a tiny circle, shaking in my trembling hand. And in that small glow, I saw something that made my blood freeze. A new footprint. Fresh, wet, right in front of my shoe. And then, a warm breath touched the back of my neck. Something, was standing right behind me. The scream that echoed down the hallway didn't sound human. It was sharp at first, like someone gasping for air. Then it twisted into a low groan that shook the lights above me. My legs locked in place. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. The ghostly man in the 1940s uniform still stood only a few feet away, his boots planted on the faded carpet, his hat tilted low as if he were hiding his eyes. But I could feel him looking at me, through me, like cold wind moving across bones. For a moment, neither of us moved. The hallway stretched behind him like an endless tunnel. Then slowly, the man lifted his head. The shadow under his hat slid away, revealing a pale face with skin that looked stretched too tightly, like it didn't belong to him. His lips didn't move, but a deep voice whispered right in my ear, even though he was too far to touch me. "You shouldn't be here." My body jolted as if someone had shoved me forward. I stumbled and grabbed the wall, but the wallpaper peeled under my fingers like dead skin. The lights flickered again, once, twice, then held steady. When they came back fully, the man was gone. But the scream wasn't. It kept echoing. From behind me now. I spun around so fast I almost fell. The hallway behind me was empty except for the cleaning cart I had bumped into earlier. But the wheels were slowly turning on their own, like something had just pushed it. I swallowed hard, backing away until my shoulder hit the wall. The coldness from it shot through my shirt. The air smelled like wet metal, like old blood. Then my phone buzzed. I jerked, nearly dropping it. My hands shook as I lifted it. A new message. From an unknown number. Room 409. He's not alone. My heart thumped hard. That room number again. The same one I saw written under the ghost's boots. The same one I heard whispered through the vents. The same one guests asked about mysteriously, then refused to talk about again. Before I could react, the elevator at the end of the hall dinged. The doors slowly slid open, though no one had pressed the button. A cold breeze rolled out, carrying the faint scent of cigarette smoke, the old kind from decades ago. I didn't want to go in. I knew I shouldn't. But something pulled at me, like invisible fingers wrapped around my spine. My feet moved without my permission, each step feeling heavier than the last, as if the carpet were trying to hold me back. The elevator lights flickered. Its metal walls were dented and scratched. When I stepped inside, the doors closed instantly, slamming shut with a loud metal crash. "What floor?" the panel asked in a calm digital voice. I didn't touch anything, but the 4 button lit up on its own. No, stop," I whispered, slapping the emergency button. The elevator didn't stop. Instead, the lights inside it flickered to darkness. The air grew colder, so cold I could see my breath fogging in front of me. The floor hummed beneath me as we rose, the cables moaning like something heavy was dragging along them. When the lights finally returned, I wasn't alone in the elevator. The man in the 1940s uniform stood in the far corner. His head bowed, his fists clenched at his sides, his boots dripping with something dark. I froze, my back pressed against the control panel. This time, his lips moved. "Don't open the doors." The elevator dinged. 4th floor. The doors slid open anyway. Behind them stretched a hallway that wasn't like any other in the hotel. The wallpaper was peeling. The carpet was ripped. The lights buzzed like dying insects. And every door on the floor stood slightly open, as if someone had walked through all of them, one by one, checking each room. Searching. Waiting. The man stepped out first, his boots echoing loudly despite the carpet. He didn't look back at me. I should have stayed inside. I should have forced the doors shut. But something about the hallway pulled me forward again, like the air itself wanted me to enter. My phone buzzed for the second time. Another message. "If you see him, run." I lifted my head just as the man in the uniform turned toward me. Slowly, his neck cracking like old wood. His eyes were hollow now, black wells that sucked in what little light remained. Then he raised his hand and pointed behind me. I spun around fast, and what I saw made my stomach twist into a knot. At the far end of the hallway, crouched low to the ground like a broken animal, was another figure, shaking, trembling, with long arms dragging across the carpet. Its head jerked with sharp, unnatural movements, as if someone had snapped its neck and forced it back into place. It wasn't the ghostly man. It wasn't human at all. When it lifted its head, its eyes glowed like hot coins. A deep growl crawled out of its throat. Then it began to run toward me. Fast. On all fours. The man in the uniform whispered again. "He found you." I tried to run, but my legs barely worked. The hallway shrank around me as the creature sped closer, its nails digging into the carpet, ripping it apart. I reached the elevator doors and slammed my hand against the closed door button. But the doors wouldn't budge. They stayed open. Frozen. The creature was almost on me. 10 feet. 5 feet. 2. When suddenly, something grabbed me from behind and yanked me backward into a dark room. The door slammed shut in front of me. The creature's claws scraped the other side of the door violently, the force shaking the entire wall. I stumbled backward into the darkness, gasping. The room was pitch black except for a faint blue glow from a small window. Then a hand touched my shoulder. I jerked away, heart hammering. A voice whispered behind me, "Why did you come to room 409? And the lights snapped on. Standing inches away from me was a woman in a torn hotel uniform. Her hair messy, her face pale, her breathing fast and shaky. "I've been hiding here for hours," she whispered. "He won't let us leave." I opened my mouth to speak, but a deep shadow moved across the ceiling above us. Something was in the room with us. Something that had been waiting in the dark. And when I looked up, I realized it wasn't the creature from the hallway. It was something bigger. It lowered itself, inch by inch, its limbs long and thin like stretched shadows. Its face came into view, twisted into a horrifying smile that didn't look human at all. The lights flickered one more time, and then went out completely. A cold voice breathed into my ear. "You should have listened to him.